Computer. Okay, so good morning and welcome to Dona Kumpanling. This is a class which is a continuation of our series on the 16 guidelines, the meditation course that has been put together by by I think it's FDCW or something like that. But it's a wonderful collection of meditations on topics that are very, very important for helping us transform our way of thinking about ourselves and others. And so, wasn't um, expecting to be teaching this class today, but that's okay. We're all here together, and it's a wonderful opportunity to continue exploring this variety of subjects for transforming the mind. So I'll be teaching this class as well as next Sunday, we'll be talking about patience. And after that, Geshe Darge will be back to continue his Sunday morning classes. So we're going to start off, as we always do, with just settling the mind and setting our motivation for getting to know ourselves just a little bit better. So we'll just relax into our meditation posture. And so that helps us focus our intention inwards. Bringing your focus more inside your body and on your breath. So allowing the sounds and the smells, and visual appearances of what's going on in the room to just sort of fade away, fade into the background. Relax into the simple activity of just breathing naturally without any sense of control, just following that natural rhythm. Using the breath to relax any remaining tension in your body, just touching into areas that might seem a little bit tight, expanding into areas that are softer. Smiling and letting go. And as thoughts arise, and allow them to cross your mind, allow them to appear, abide, and then disappear. Just as though you're maybe standing on the side of a stream that's flowing by, and a leaf falls on the surface of the stream and is carried away. And allow those thoughts to just arise and disappear. Just think that giving ourselves even a few moments of silence and rest is a wonderful, wonderful. It's the best gift that we can give ourselves, as well as all of those around us. Because everybody wants to be happy and free from suffering just like us. And so if we can cultivate that peace, if we can be that peace, then everybody around us will also share in that same peaceful mind, that same open awareness, that same presence of loving kindness. And so that's our motivation for taking the time to learn more about ourselves, focusing today on humility. Mm-hmm. Why is humility a little bit difficult? I mean, it's really like hitting the nail on the head with humility, right? What does humility challenge us to do? What's the antidote to humility? The big troublemaker. What's the opposite of humility?
Courage.
Ego. Courage? How is it the opposite of courage? It takes courage for sure, right? Because did somebody say something online? Louisa, did you say something?
Ego or self-cherishing.
Self-cherishing, ego, pride. There you go. That's what I was thinking. Yeah. So if you're humble, then you are counteracting, right? Our natural tendency to think me, myself, I, right? I'm the center of the universe, right? And that's the biggest problem, right? In terms of our relationship, both with ourselves and with others, right? If we're full of pride and convinced that everything that, if I'm convinced that everything that I do and say and feel is the best way, the only way, then we're going to have problems, right? Especially if everybody else has the same attitude, that's where conflicts arise from, right? So humility is our way of overcoming that natural tendency. So for those of you who are new, I want to just quickly share the you couldn't whiteboard my figures. And I apologize, you guys are gonna have to be patient because I'm not very good with this technology. But here we go. So this is the overview of the 16 guidelines that we've been working through. So it's divided into these 4 categories: how we think, how we act, how we relate, and how we find meaning. And so in the earlier sessions, we covered respect, forgiveness, gratitude, and loyalty. And now we're going back to the first one: how we think. The way we use our mind determines the way we live. So all of these are interrelated, right? It's not like they exist strictly in these little categories, but you'll notice that humility is indeed the first one on the list. So that's what we're talking about. So humility, as we said, it's a way to overcome self-cherishing. It's that innate tendency to put our interests first above those of others. And this topic of overcoming self-cherishing is lies at the heart of the what's known as the mind training teachings, the mind training verses from many different texts. So I've picked verses from just a couple of texts to give you as an example and to kind of get the ball rolling here. So the first example is from a text a very popular, well-known text known as the 8 Verses of Mind Training. It's the second verse, and I think that I've mentioned this before. But anyway, it says, "Whenever I come into anyone's company, may I regard myself less than everyone else. And from the depths of my heart, value others more highly than I do myself." And when you first hear that, I remember when I first heard that verse, I just thought, what? Like it just goes so counter to what our ordinary way of thinking. Right? But then a second source, this is the 37 Practices of a Bodhisattva. It says, "Even if others, equal or inferior to me in status, should, out of arrogance, disparage me, to honor them as I would my teacher, by bowing down my head before them. This is the practice of all the bodhisattvas." And so bodhisattva is somebody who is on the path to enlightenment. So it's somebody who has taken vows to make his or her life as meaningful as possible, dedicating every minute of his precious human life for the welfare of others, for the welfare of oneself, as well as for the welfare of others, right? Because you need both. You need both. Okay, so that's a bodhisattva. And so when we talk about cultivating, any of these 16 guidelines and more, right? Because this is just some examples, but of all of these virtuous practices, then that's, how we learn how to become bodhisattvas, how to act as bodhisattvas ourselves. So it's somebody who's completely altruistic, completely selfless, and devoted to others. And so, I think it's important to recognize that we are aspiring to become bodhisattvas and that we are already acting we do bodhisattva-like actions all the time, right? It's not like, this is way up in the sky and then very abstract and, something that we can't do. That's not what I'm trying to say, right? So all of these are things that are doing now and that we seek to increase, our capability to act in these ways. Okay? So humility is something that we can work on now. And so the point in both of these verses that I've quoted so far is that, whenever somebody acts unkindly to us, whenever anyone criticizes us, pushes us around, whatever, right? All of those, instead of getting angry in return, right? Instead, the best way to use that situation is to see it as an opportunity for personal growth, right? As an opportunity to say, wait, let me try to understand where that person is coming from. Let me try to just take a break, like don't react immediately, but just maybe allow the conversation to end in silence, to take a little break, right? And then when, tempers are cooled, or when you can use a little more judgment, a little more wisdom, then re-engage, and understand where you're coming from, where the other person is coming from, and have a more respectful and really a deeper conversation where you're looking for the underlying cause of maybe a disagreement, right? Does that make sense?
Yep.
That's just good conversation skills, good conflict management, right? That's not really anything all that different, right? So, but being able to see the person who's harming you as a teacher, that goes a little bit further, right? Then you're saying that, particularly from this mindset of humility, of seeing yourself as lower than others, that you have something to learn from others, in any type of situation. So that really is a core idea of this idea of humility. Okay. And so, any questions or feedback about that before we continue with the next example, the next quote?
Hi, Anila. Hello from Canada.
Oh, ah,
I just wanted to note that how interesting it is, the difference between the mind training technique of putting yourself beneath others and the the sutta-based recommendation not to fall prey to the ego that feels less than others. So like,
huh.
ego is the conceit. Conceit is considered both feeling above others, competitive with those who are at your level, and inferior to those who are better or better looking or better have more wealth or anything that you perceive to be above you. But I find it interesting that it can both be a tool for mind training, but is also in you, it's something to be avoided as a reflexive, self-deprecating,
Okay.
like you don't want to beat yourself up and wallow in your inferiority or
Sure.
generate false inferiority where it isn't. But if you use it as a surgical tool for reminding yourself that you are not better than others, you're not competitive with those who are equal, but you can generate that as a positive. It's almost like medicine. Like you don't want to eat medicine that's not necessary every day, right? If they prescribe antibiotics, you take it for the prescribed amount of time. If you take antibiotics every day, you're going to destroy parts of your biome, right? But as a tool, it's really useful. And I just think it's very interesting that we can use something in a way that benefits us when we know what we're doing with it, but it can be very detrimental if we let it get
Yeah. Yeah.
dramatic or reflexive or
That's a good point.
self-deprecating.
Yeah. If you take it too far, right? You could end up feeling, if you take humility too far, then you could end up damaging your self-confidence and maybe giving up, right? I think that's what you're saying, right? So you need to be walk that middle way. Don't
Right,
go too
exactly.
far.
Yeah, because
That's
it
a really
is
good point.
considered an aspect of conceit to feel yourself
Yeah,
inferior is one of
yeah,
the aspects of conceit. But again, that's a
yeah,
different thing than using it to train your mind not to be arrogant.
yeah.
So
Well, and
very,
that goes along with that idea of it's one of the types of laziness is actually to say, oh, oh my God, I can't act like I can't do the bodhisattva's deeds. I can't cut off my head and give it to somebody else. I can't do any of these things that a bodhisattva could do without even thinking, right? And so I'm not even going to try. So I think that kind of goes along the same lines of not taking this too far in the wrong direction, and then not acting, not thinking that you can do anything. Uh-huh.
I used to think of humility as associated with being humiliated.
Yeah,
That it was made me lesser than,
a sign of
that I was
weakness, maybe.
insignificant in some ways, many ways. And that there was everybody else was better
Yeah,
in some ways. And as I began to study and look at the other ways of seeing this, I now feel that humility reminds me that we all suffer from the same humiliation, if you will,
yeah,
the same insults, the put downs, the disappointments, whatever. And I look at it as a way of connection now, as opposed to disconnection and single superiority or inferiority,
right,
that we're all in this together.
right,
And that it can really be a pleasing, if you will, or a positive position rather than a negative one.
yeah,
It took a long
exactly.
time.
Yeah, it's definitely not easy. Yep, yep. So just one more thought was a couple more thoughts. Speed this up a little bit. So from Shanti Deva's Guide to the Bodhisattva's Way of Life, there's a commentary by Gyaltsab on two verses. So these two verses read, having mental excitement while mocking, having pride or conceit, or thinking about criticizing, being cunning or thinking about deceit, when being ready to praise oneself and belittle others, telling others off, or being argumentative, then when one should remain like a piece of wood. I think this goes along really well with Eric's comment and with your comment. So the point is that, here we are, we're supposed to, whenever anything comes to disturb our minds, then we, instead of acting quickly, without thinking, without drawing that connection with others' experience, instead we should just remain like a piece of wood, meaning that, like, we shouldn't say anything. Okay. So the commentary reads, at the time when one wishes to move one's body, maybe to hit somebody, or wishes to speak, to yell back, one should first investigate one's mind to make sure it has not fallen under the control of the afflictions, meaning like the negative emotions, greed, anger, jealousy, pride, attachment, right? Or self-cherishing, that sense of me, myself, I being the center of the world, right? And then engage accordingly, differentiating between, what's virtue and what's non-virtue, meaning what is okay to do, right? Versus what's definitely not okay to do. Okay. So at these times, one should remain like a piece of wood. Um, so making sure not to retaliate in any of those situations, right? So we were talking about what makes humility difficult to practice, right? That's how we started off this morning. And we identified the main issue as being the self-cherishing, right? That sense of pride. So I wanted to just give a funny example from I'm taking a class in Tibetan, classical Tibetan, and it's actually taught. Here's the advertisement for this class if anybody is interested in learning Tibetan. DNKL has two fantastic teachers that offer classes on learning Tibetan. So anyway, one of my classmates gave this example about pride, and she said she was taking a class with a different teacher, and the teacher praised her when she read a passage in Tibetan. He said, "Oh, that was really good. Your pronunciation was very good, and that's terrific." And she was so happy. She's like, "Oh, thank you. You made my day. I'm just so happy." And the teacher said, "Well, don't get all puffed up about it. It wasn't that good." So she gave us as an example of having her teacher, reprimand her for being proud, but at the same time, like we were all laughing. She was laughing. She didn't, she wasn't hurt by it, but it was kind of funny. So anyway, um, the main point is that we should always be willing, able, and happy to serve others, right? We shouldn't let the sense of, pride or ego get in the way, right? So we're willing to jump in and do whatever it takes to help our families or to help our workplace, to help our team, to help somebody that we don't even know, right? We see little examples of that around us all the time, or maybe it's something that we ourselves engage in whenever we can. So my personal example is, whenever you go does anybody go to New York City? Do you ever get into the city?
Yeah.
Once in a while, right? And so, if you want to be able to give money unfortunately, to the growing number of homeless people in the city, then you kind of have to be prepared, right? Like you kind of have to think ahead, because if you want to have some, small change or whatever it is, some dollar bills in your pocket, you have to have them first, because otherwise if you're walking down the street and you see somebody and then you're like standing there and you got to take out your wallet and fiddle around, like it takes time and it's just awkward, right? So it's better to have some money ready at hand, so you can just offer it graciously. So a little foresight, can make that act of generosity go more smoothly, more politely. Um, so, um, what are some of the other examples of how we can practice humility? Just easy examples of being humble in the context of relationships with others. What are some of the things that you would do?
I pause before I respond and give them a chance to wholeheartedly own their thought before I.
Okay, yeah, yeah. So it works both ways, right? So you're giving them a chance to reflect on what they said, right? As well as maybe thinking about your
My
response.
response, right?
Yeah, yeah, that's a really good point.
Um,
Yeah,
I,
a lot of times, we're busy just thinking about the response and not what did the person actually say, right? It's like, well, I know. You have to give your own experience without letting the other person fully explore their experience. Is that, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Did somebody say something?
I was just gonna mention my worst habit has always been relating everything that someone else says to myself. Like I think a lot of people do that. They tell an anecdote and you're like, oh yeah, one time I was like, and
Right,
immediately it's your
right,
story. You hijack it, right? And
exactly.
I just
Yeah,
have to really practice biting my tongue and reminding myself that's not important to this person. Like
right.
this is their story, and I don't
Their
have to
space. Yeah,
tell them how it happened to me once, or that's just a habitual thing that I've always fallen prey to. So
yeah, yeah, me too.
But
I think it's hard. On the one hand, you want to show that, you have a commonality, like, oh yeah, that happened to me too, right? On the other hand, you don't want to, like Eric was saying, you don't want to jump in and sidetrack a conversation, move it in your direction. I'm sorry, what were you saying, Ben?
So I totally agree. I have the same thing, but it's like I think sometimes it walks the line or like trying to be like maybe project empathy
Mhm.
in something like that. But like you said, there's a difference between being empathetic and then, like Eric was saying, completely taking over the conversation and disregarding the feelings that the other person
Yeah.
is currently experiencing.
Yeah, 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 especially if it's a deeper emotion, right? And then you, yeah, yeah, especially if it's like grief or something. You're like, oh yeah,
Right.
that dude.
There's nothing worse than that. Than
That's a toughie.
Mhm.
Hi, would you like to sit in a more comfortable place? I don't want to put you on the spot, but we've got there are more cushions. We've got one seat here. There's a chair here. We got options. Let's see. Okay, so yeah, not having the last word on the conversation, or just letting somebody else do something. Being humble is like taking a step back and saying, I don't have to jump in and fix the situation. I'll give you the time, I'll give you the support, the resources to figure it out yourself, right? You do it. I'm not gonna fix every problem that you found yourself in, especially like, well, not just with kids, but and it can happen in any situation. And then so you're empowering the other person to work through the situation and not always thinking that you have to be, the fireman that jumps in and puts out the fires for somebody else, right? That's like exhausting and doesn't really help anybody. Yeah. What about asking for help? Right? If we're like full of pride, are we less likely to ask for help? Anybody?
Yeah.
Who's using Chat GPT or what is that called? Chat GPT? Yeah? Is it easier to use Chat GPT than to ask somebody else for help?
Yeah, you don't really have to talk, you just type.
Yeah, yeah. Technology.
When I think about humility, that which is the subject today,
Yeah.
is my daughter and I both practice analytical meditation, and one of the first steps or stages or whatever of that is to be reminded of the fact that we're all here,
Yes.
considering the development of our planet bursting off from the sun how many billions of years ago. I mean, it's just a total unbelievably complex. The chances are so impossible. Makes me feel kind of like, ooh, wow, I dodged so many bullets so many times that could have not had me be here. On this
The
planet
fragility.
now. And so
That's a good point.
feel a sense of huge humility, but gratitude.
Yes, yes.
Whew.
Yeah, that's
It's a way to compliment and to contemplate the impossibility of what we're doing right now.
Yeah.
Being here.
Yeah. No, that's a really good point.
So it's a change from the way I used to think about humility, which was not good enough, to, "Ooh, you're a miracle."
Yeah, yeah, that's a very good point.
And I just had a very large birthday. And it's just to see how don't take it for granted.
Yeah.
This experience of being human is just billions and billions of chances.
Right, right, right. And it yeah, comes and goes so quickly. Yeah.
I think another aspect of that too, practicing humility is understanding those that help you get to where you are now, instead of kind of
Yes.
allowing yourself to understand that, though where you are in this good state is, a lot of credit to yourself, understanding that there's help along the way. And
Right,
understanding that that's okay,
right,
that you
right,
have to do it
exactly.
yourself.
Right. Yeah, I think that's a really important point. Yeah. So that idea of respect and interconnection with others is very much, and gratitude, right? And loyalty, all the things that we were talking about the past few classes. Yeah. Yeah. And not feeling, and just pull out that one point was this idea that we are a safety net for each other, right? So this idea of learning from others' experiences, from being able to have somebody to consult, not just ChatGPT, right? But actual human beings who can enrich our lives, by being there for us. Yeah.
You said it right too. It's having gratitude above anything.
Yeah.
For the for the help and
Yeah.
Also, just remembering that almost everything that we have and do is due to other people's efforts.
Yes.
Everything. The clothes I'm wearing, the computer I'm watching you on, the food I just ate, the couch I'm sitting on, the roof over my head, the car in the driveway. Like, I didn't do any of it.
Right.
I didn't make any of it. And we go through life a lot of times thinking like we're the doer. We're the one generating the actions and the stuff and the knowledge, but like it's just overwhelmingly other people that are
Yeah.
providing us with everything that we need to survive. And that can
Yep.
be very humbling in a healthy way. And I mean that's part of equalizing self with others, right? That's
Exactly.
others that it's amazing when you start thinking about the minutia of your life and every detail being due to the efforts of others. It's really amazing.
Yes. Humbling. What are you going to say something?
I raised a son who it was a Division I quarterback, and his biggest challenge in life was never learning to ask for help because it was culturally encouraged to be the leader, and he got a lot of street cred from that leadership role. But to find that the underlying shame behind the fear of asking for help really almost hobbled him in his young career. So we've worked a lot on the courage and the humility that it takes to ask for help.
Yes.
And it's come a long way. And I asked him, so what's going on in your meditation practice? And he said, I'm meditating on what makes my wife happy. How can I serve my wife? We have 2 little toddlers. And I thought, I did a good job. I raised a good
Go,
kid.
Mom.
Because,
That's
that's
beautiful.
just not supported in male culture.
Yes.
So anyway, it made me really happy for him because that's the only joy you get is watching your people be happy, right?
Yeah. That's
That's
what
real
it's all
joy.
about. That's wonderful.
Big
Thank
one,
you for
yeah.
sharing that. Yeah. Okay. All right. Hang on one second. Open this. Oh my goodness. I want to share the actual description from the course book. So I gotta split down here. So all of these topics are covered for those of you who are new in this actual freely available 16 guidelines meditation course. So if you're interested in going back and sharing this with others in your community, you are more than welcome to do it. It's a very basically all you have to do is read it from the book and facilitate the discussion. That's really easy. So all you have to do is, meditation, humility does, the very first one. This should have been easy. Here I am going down here. Okay, hang on. Here we go. Sorry about that. Okay. So I'm just going to read from the, because it was very nice and it summarizes everything that we've just said. And then we're going to break out into the discussion groups. Okay. So humility encourages us to view the world with a sense of wonder and curiosity, which is just like what we were talking about. It's an invitation to see ourselves as a small yet significant part of a vast and complex cosmos, surrounded by people and creatures from whom we can learn in countless ways. Rather than a weakness, it reveals itself as a quiet strength that nurtures dignity, wisdom, and a deeper sense of connection. In a society that often values loudness and self-assertion, humility offers an alternative worth exploring. What would it be like to step back from the impulse to dominate or seek validation and instead choose to listen, to observe, and to grow? Those who embody humility often seem to navigate personal success while staying grounded in the understanding of their own limitations. They recognize that their perspective is just one among many and enjoy shifting their focus from me to others. So, could humility be a pathway to a more fulfilling life? This quality might open doors to personal growth and meaningful relationships by encouraging us to release pride and a sense of superiority. Approaching others with genuine interest, thinking, there you are, right? Rather than, here I am, could foster trust, curiosity, and mutual respect. Okay. So what we do in the next section of the course is we've got about 15 minutes to work in pairs. And I've got some, you can talk about whatever, you're interested in, but if I can find it, oh my God, where did it go? Here, I'm gonna make this guy small. Here. See, I'm humble because I don't know anything about Zoom. Zoom idiot. And I've got some discussion topics. Is it existing? Is it new or is it existing? Oh my goodness. Maybe not. No, go away, you go away. Do. Stop, stop. Maybe it was existing. Existing whiteboard. Come back. Do, here, this one. Maybe what's this one? Mindu. Welcome to a new whiteboard. Use whiteboard classic. Oh, do. Screen sharing, but then we lost the thing. Oh my God. Okay, so I'll just read the questions if I can find them. Hopefully I have them. I want to try it one more time. Should be. Don't show lines. Where did the presentation go? Okay, I'm gonna have to just read them. So I don't know what happened. All right, sorry about that.
You're muted, Anila.
Okay, sorry about that. So we're gonna break up into pairs and then I'll read the discussion questions and you can pick one. So if you want to sit with somebody who you don't know, that's good too. Okay. So just pair up. Let's see, we've got Ernesto, right? And it's Susie?
Susie, yep.
Susie, so Ernesto, it's Susie. We've got Steve, and your name is?
My name is Steve.
We got two Steves, Steve and Steve, okay? And you can move your chairs so you're, because it's gonna get noisy.
So we are three again, so we have to be three again.
You wanna stay together? No, you can switch. Here, we've got Ben and you
So we
can,
have an odd number.
oh, you wanna
That's
be,
fine.
you
So we
wanna
don't
be
need to
together?
do her by yourself, that's what it is.
Okay, you three can
Yeah,
go
that's
together,
fine.
that's fine, okay. And then Ben and Flavio,
Spend fun.
and let me see, hopefully I'll have better ones.
How you doing?
Odd
Yeah,
number.
let me give you the
What's
questions,
that?
all
My
right?
brother did. Yeah, he did. Got this, he's
This is our first.
Lockheed Martin now, he used to work for NASA.
Let me pull up these questions, I got them here somewhere.
Looking for a big-
I think Annalyn's about to tell us.
Yeah, I'm sorry, let me just pull them up.
You're so fine.
Oh my God.
And everything is perfect, so I say. You're calling it something about us. So. Tell me. I can hear you around. I have to.
So for the Dharma shop, we're doing a sale on December 8th here. The good thing is though about it is one of the person that we're collaborating with is gonna bring.
All right, give me 1 second.
Yeah. Yak butter. I'm really going to try it. Yeah.
Okay. All right, here are the questions. Hang on.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Oh,
Hey, hang on 1 second, because these are the questions that you're going to be talking about, okay? So I apologize, I couldn't get them up on the screen, but anyway,
yeah.
think of somebody who exemplifies humility for you. Is there somebody in your life, who you think of, when I say the word humility, who pops in your mind and why? Okay, it could be a public figure or it could be somebody, that you know personally. So that could be one question. The second question is, what role has humility played in your life? Just think of some examples of how humility has played a role in your life. And then just going along with what we've been talking about, how can we cultivate humility as an antidote to pride? Right? How can we cultivate humility as an antidote to pride? So just, on a personal level, examples of how we can cultivate humility as an antidote to pride. And we've talked about this, so I'm just, take it the next step. So right now it is 10:50 and we're going to run this until about 5 minutes after 11. Okay. All right, let me try to do these breakdowns.
See, it's for the first one. It's
How many people? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
right. Yeah, the first person, it'd have to be my stepfather. My stepfather.
All right, I'm making 2
It's
breakout
tough.
rooms.
I just can't, especially in the nature of politics.
You have any
it's
problems
not
with the breakout rooms, then you need to see if you can send me a chat.
There's a lot of ego that comes with being. Maybe it's even a little unessential.
Yeah.
It's a natural thing. I think it's a good way to put it. So it's hard to think for me at least on them to immediately come to mind as having humility. My stepfather though, small business owner, in Fairfield, comes from an incredibly affluent family, but salt of the earth kind of guy. Like salt of the earth, no ego, no long with is a natural putting him
Have to join the group.
But in particular, it's watching him and how he, in a positive way, digress from the attitude of his own. He's the first person that comes to mind. I think. For you?
Richard, I'm gonna try to move you to room 2, as it looks like there's nobody in room 1.
The exception to the rule of famous people.
Yes.
Yeah.
And like that,
Yeah.
he was famous for
Me.
Right.
Yeah.
That's what I think. I am not.
I struggle with that too.
Okay, Richard, you're now in room 2. You're muted.
Yeah. Right.
Louisa, I'm gonna move you to room 2.
Right?
I'm satisfied.
Satisfied, right?
Not satisfied.
It's a different thing. There's a distinction between them. Yeah. That's a good point. A thin line between being satisfied with not having pride in it. I think in the Western culture too, we kind of have different understanding of the word pride than Easterners do as well. Because I've raised that question to Geshe Darke too. Is it not okay to take pride in like your work or the good things you do? And I think it comes from a little bit of a misunderstanding, a little Western sense of what pride means. I think Geshe said something big. Like there's a difference between being prideful and being satisfied. In finding passion and joy in your achievements. Very much so. Yeah. I think, yeah.
Think about it, so keep bringing up.
And like,
Everybody in this family. Strong male.
I've seen good, I mean,
A meditation.
have you noticed that it has an effect in your waking life? Meditation? Yeah. Right.
Less experience. Just that man.
I wasn't here last Sunday. I know you and I had a conversation a couple of Sundays ago
I gotta see.
about the power of meditation. Yeah.
You work. I'm pretty much, I know it.
That's amazing you have that experience. I think it definitely is testimony. I mean, for you, that's the power of meditation. So it's nice that you have that experience where you're feeling something very physical.
Yes.
Right. And then meditation was able to alleviate physical sensation.
Yeah.
Right.
I would say meditations
Meditation is,
are
oh, addiction. Yeah. Yeah. Right.
That's another way to. Like,
You feel like you're almost going to like withdraw.
I feel like
Something's missing, right?
I have to.
Right, right. Right. You're not forcing yourself to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
Right. Right. It's a necessary thing. So I work remotely. I work for a personal injury law firm. Very high stress.
Yeah.
But just like you were saying, I have the same experience, right? I give myself 15 minutes a day to meditate, and I come out of that just grounded. I just like try to take on the world now.
It really is.
It is, especially it always comes one too. Like going back to what you were saying about meditation leading your physical element, it fixes both body and mind. It's all encompassing. It's very interesting in the meditation. There's a reason why English everybody stresses it. There's a reason why the Buddha stressed the importance of it. It's an important part of it.
You know,
Picked me up on the side of the road and was down.
That's the hard one. Yeah, that's very difficult. Right, right.
Yeah.
Not hoping, you know.
Oh, you've been doing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's very nice.
Driver.
Cause he
Always
does.
has some different things.
Right. Oh, that's exciting. Does he do? It looks at night. The Wednesdays, do you do that? Yeah.
I think it's people like I said, you want me to read.
Right, when I start.
And then you put it in.
Right, right.
It's always had some things on the past.
Yeah.
And, I find it. Just, you know,
You're right.
I don't think I'm like relaxed.
Yeah.
Right. I don't think the hard part behind it, like meditation. What do you think makes analytical meditation like inherently difficult?
So that's fine. I feel.
We're learning a lot. You gotta keep learning.
Not sure if I'm doing it for my own reasons or whatever.
It's tough. I think for me, I get like racing mind syndrome when I try to do that meditation because I like single point, like back to focus meditation where
Oh, yeah.
I maintain like an image in my head and I'm like focus on it.
Right.
Because it's easier to fight the mind versus in one thing.
I didn't really
With
understand.
analytical meditation, I feel like my mind goes to places that I'll be thinking about, okay, so that I'm trying to exemplify my passion. And I'm meditating on that. And I'm like, oh wait, he said this thing and that relates to this. And I'm like, oh, remember when that happened? And then like, it's hard for me to focus. That's what I'm saying. With analytical.
One hour to 15. And units.
Like 10-minute intervals or?
No, so 10 minutes. One thing and then actually.
Oh, it makes it or something. Okay. You find that helpful? Yeah.
So this is.
Visualize it.
Yes, I agree with you. Yeah. Great.
My thoughts.
I don't want people to make my own.
Right. Yeah. This is what you call it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like, say it's like pulling it apart.
Yeah.
You have to start to pull it, and then it just keeps going, and then things start to corrupt. Yeah, that's interesting. I like to attend the meditation class. Wednesdays are tough for me. I used to when I first started coming here. I started coming in 2015. Yeah, I took a little bit of break to my undergrad, a couple years of law school, type of break. I was gone completely when I went out of state. But I used to go to the Wednesday meditation that was first before going to law room, and I really enjoyed it. But this is before Paul started teaching meditation with Ishidar.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. So I wish Paul sounds like he's really good. I know about teaching and I'd love to find this Wednesday to come out. I'm thinking in line with you where it's like I feel like I need it. And it's not something that I'm like, oh, I meditate. Like it's I get it.
And I knew
Life happens, yeah. Yeah. It's almost like you're going through withdrawal. Like you, yeah. Interesting. One day, yeah. Again, the power of it. Transcend it. Because it's yeah. My sister practices affection Wicca. And she does what she calls manifestation meditation, where she focuses on an outcome, and she is trying to work on it. So for her right now, she's getting her master's degree. So again, it's in Wicca, so it's not totally like in line with the Buddhist tradition. But her meditation, what she does, she has focus, like her meditative focus is completing her master's degree. So she's meditating, and all she thinks about is completing master's degree, completing master's degree, completing master's degree, completing master's degree. And then she wakes up and she's like, or wakes up, she's out of meditation, and she feels energized to pursue her master's. Basically, what I thought was interesting is it's evidence that meditation rewires how your brain works. It's not like you're asking some mysterious force to make this happen for you. Meditation rewires your brain to allow you to help yourself.
Okay, we've got about 1 minute left, so if you want to wrap up your thoughts, please.
Email it. Yeah. This you can you can control. This is something you can do. One of the very few things you can control. I struggle with that too, right? Especially in this current political climate. I find myself a little bitter about it. Definitely need to practice some more in that aspect. But I keep reminding myself like this is not something you can control. Focus on what you can and meditation. Right, just don't push to do it. Right.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, I like that. Yeah, that's a good point. You're making this themselves unhappy. Yeah. Right. Well, yes, that's the thing. That's coming up too, about the primary. Midterms, whatever. Yeah, of course.
All right, is there anything that you'd like to share from your discussions?
So Don, I hope you have it overworded.
You guys come up with any advice that you'd like to share or personal experiences that we can all learn from?
Well, you know, I had kind of an interesting conversation about like people that we identify as
Okay.
humble and who practice humility. And we were originally talking about like it's hard to think of, and this isn't on them, but like it's hard to think of famous people as being humble and having humility just because ego is part of the job that they have. But we took like a different look at that, and then we thought of people like, you know, Mahatma Gandhi, who was definitely famous, but definitely practiced humble humility. So just like a cool way to remind yourself that like it's beneficial to kind of look past the exterior being what it means to be like a celebrity or famous and see that it's still possible to practice
Yeah,
good qualities of humility
right. For sure. For
while
sure.
balancing this career path.
Okay, you can be famous and still be humble, or you can become famous by being humble,
Mhm.
or something like that. Okay.
I was sharing that I just read this book about being an empath, and then a lot of my work in this 12-step world, there's a lot of people that are really good martyrs and over mother and
Okay.
sort of the shadow side of humility and the manipulative controlling part of it too. So for me, I'm a little jaded right now. So it was helpful for my partner to share about being in a hospital and how the caregivers really exude that humility and that caregiving. And I think the more I know people, the more I judge what I think the motivation behind their humility is. Are they trying to manipulate me with it? And so I'm navigating the nuance of that right now.
That's a good point too. Yeah. False humility.
Yeah,
Is that
that's
what you're
right.
saying?
That's right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else?
Jim Carrey, the comedian, who's like gone way off the deep end in a good way. I mean, like has really renounced it all and is obviously a practitioner. Has a great quote. He said, "I really wish everybody could become rich and famous so that they realize that has nothing to do with any of it." Like
Hmm.
he's just aware of the false perception of people that have reached whatever, you know, who have done what he's done. And
Yeah.
he's in a place where he realizes that, you know, people envy that and not the other thing. And I thought that's a great quote. He wishes everyone could become rich and famous so they could realize that's not what it's about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pop that balloon.
Yeah.
Hmm. Any last thoughts? But we're going to do the guided meditation on humility next. But we're good. Okay. All right. So we're going to just relax into our meditation posture, keeping your back, straight, shoulders down. Sitting with your hands, if you're in a chair, maybe on your knees or in your lap. Again, just sitting comfortably, allowing the breath to be able to fill your body easily and to abide, to fill you with strength and energy. And then on the exhalation, pushing out all of that stale energy. Right? Very easy. Okay. Is humility a sign of strength or weakness? Does it help us succeed or hold us back? Can humility bring happiness? So let's reflect on humility and pride for a moment. Again, thinking of someone in your life who embodies humility. Try to think of someone specific. It could be a family member, a colleague, or a friend. But what sets them apart? This person who embodies humility. What sets them apart, right? How do they carry themselves? And then how does their humility influence those around them? What does it feel like to be in their presence? Now contrast this with someone you associate with pride or arrogance. So the opposite. Pride in this sense isn't about self-confidence. It's that attitude of superiority, of looking down on others, condescension. So likewise, bring that person to mind, thinking of a specific individual. And how do they show their pride, show their arrogance? And how does this affect the people around them? What is it like to interact with somebody who's full of pride? So pride and arrogance can close us off from learning, creating a false sense of independence and self-sufficiency. They reinforce a rigid self-image, blinding us to the fluid, ever-changing nature of who we are. So next, let's consider change and growth. Taking a moment to think back to our childhood. What were your thoughts, your interests, your hopes and your fears? What were you learning and discovering about the world around you? Have your interests, your hopes, and your fears, have they evolved? Have they really changed? And what are you learning now? Finally, imagine yourself in the future. What might change? What might you still need to learn? Looking back, we can see life as a journey of constant growth and discovery. And this perspective helps us recognize the trap of clinging to a static, unchanging self-image, which can limit and discourage us. Accepting that we're always growing and changing is liberating. And humility allows us to embrace both our strengths and our weaknesses, seeing them as opportunities to learn. This openness extends to others, fostering greater acceptance and connection. As Nelson Mandela said, the first thing is to be honest with yourself. You can never have an impact on society if you haven't changed yourself. So take a moment to sit with this thought. What does humility mean to me, and how can it shape my life? So we dedicate all of the positive energy that we've accumulated from meditating on the advantages of humility and the disadvantages of pride to our own spiritual growth and well-being, and to those of all others as well. May the practice of humility enrich our lives, as well as all the other sentient beings who we share our lives with. Okay. Any thoughts to share based on that meditation? Is that helpful? Interesting. Any questions or thoughts?
Anila,
Yeah.
it seems like humility really helps to mold us into better human beings.
And how's that?
Mm, being less arrogant and more humble just seems like it gives everyone else around us a little more room.
Uh-huh.
And um, yeah, so I think I'll leave it there.
Okay. Yeah.
But I think it just does shape us into better human beings.
Absolutely. Anybody want to disagree with that? Anybody want to debate?
I agree, and I think it allows us to let go of the fight, and I think inherent in letting go is peace and serenity. I just
Yeah.
feel blessed to have touched a little humility and to have compassion for the people that I see still struggling.
Very well said. Yeah.
I think there's a little bit of grief and humility.
Grief.
Yeah.
How's that?
Humility is acceptance, right? So sometimes it's not, if you have pride, you're gonna have grief.
Grief. How are you defining grief? Or thinking about it?
I have a tendency to grieve when things take a course that there's loss. And I think with humility, I think there's always going to be some sort of, that's not what I wanted, this is real, and that gap has grief.
Oh. Like you're giving something up, maybe? Like a bit, like you wanted something?
I think we interact with our own desires all the time.
Yeah.
And then there's this, what I want, what I think, what should be, what the pride is, what's going to keep me up. And then you have to be able to let go of that. And with that letting go is grief.
Huh. Can you give me a specific example?
Do I have to?
No.
I'm renovating a kitchen with my husband, and he wants blue countertops and I want white countertops.
Okay.
We fight like dogs, and I have to be humble and let it go because he's paying and I got no say. I have to let go.
Is that humility though?
I don't know. Good question. It feels like humility.
Being smart.
It feels like humility. And maybe it's
Oh, is that really
Who cooks more? That's the question.
So what is humility? What is your definition?
I think we were thinking of it more just as thinking of yourself as lower than the other person, but maybe more in terms of
Yeah, personal, maybe in terms of personal qualities more so.
I think like letting your own arrogance go and deciding to take instructions so you could gain wisdom is probably that
Yeah,
definition for
that's
me,
very good. Yeah. Yeah.
you know? Instead of being so prideful and saying I know everything, accept that you can learn in life so you can grow.
Yeah.
That's what it means for me.
Yeah. Right. And I think that's where that sense of connection and the sense of relief almost that, wow, I don't have to know everything. I got a million people around me who have supported me in the past, who will support me in the future, and we're all going to get this done together. So we'll fix the kitchen counter. Yeah, and it's all good. I don't know.
I don't either.
Huh?
I don't either, and I'll sit with that.
Yeah. Because then I think we have to be careful. It's not just like, oh, well, I'll put my needs aside, subordinate my needs to please somebody else because I'm lesser. Right? That's not where we're going with this, I don't think. You're equally entitled to your view, and maybe you give up your position on it. Maybe you compromise, right?
That's what I mean, yeah.
But it's not necessarily humble per se. Yeah. I don't know. Anyway, it's 11:30. I want to just close with one quote. I'll let you guys go. So two more passages from the 37 practices of Bodhisattva verses 31. And I guess 36. I guess I skipped around here. I was cherry picking verses. The practice of all the bodhisattvas is to scrutinize yourself continually and to rid oneself of faults whenever they appear. For unless one checks carefully to find one's own confusion, one might appear to be practicing Dharma, but actually act against it. In short, no matter what one might be doing, by examining always the status of one's mind, with continuous mindfulness and alertness to bring about the good of others, this is the practice of all the bodhisattvas. Okay. So thank you very much for coming, and I apologize for the tech issues. I think that I was just making things a lot harder than it had to be. For those who haven't seen the slide before, this is these are the websites where you can find all of the resources about the 16 guidelines. And there's actually a self-study, this last link. It's a freely available course that includes, the discussion prompts, journaling ideas for exploring these topics in greater detail on your own. So thank you very much, and be here next Sunday. We're talking about patience.
Thank you, Anila.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Easy. Yeah.
Were you the lawyer?